We are joined here by my good friend Kel, all the way in one of my favorite cities, beautiful Bay Area, California, uh, where the mass exodus of billionaires is happening in real time as we speak. This is too awesome. But tonight we are going to be talking about job readiness for the product management job hunt, man. So let's actually go ahead and chop it up. Before we get started tonight, I want to say Chinese New Year to everybody, and also Lunar New Year for all the other Asians that are celebrating. But like, but also, before we actually started tonight's session, Cal actually reached out and who actually wanted to make this as interactive as possible. I will let Cal go ahead and take it from here, man. Let's get it.
All right, cool. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Whoops. All right, there we go. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. So, real quick, some background on me, just for context. Spent about 8 years in product, mostly in SaaS, working across digital marketing, e-com, and the content creator economy. I'm currently a senior product manager over at Clover, which is where I focus on retail point of sale products. And before that, I was at a company called Social Native, and that connected brands with content creators for TikTok and Instagram. And that's where I helped transform a traditionally managed service over into a more of a self-service platform. Prior to that, I was at Neptune Retail Solutions working on scaling digital promotion platforms for the grocery sector. And most recently, I've been actively experimenting on the side with AI, building side projects on my YouTube channel called Product Michael. And that's where I document everything I learned and I'm still learning about AI. Also on Instagram, TikTok, and you can follow me on my website as well at kelwoo.com. All right, so week three, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the finale of this 3 week series. If you've been with us for the past 2 weeks, you should have a pretty good sense of what AI product management is and what you need to build AI products. If this is your first night, don't worry, you're jumping in at one of the most important parts of this whole journey. And just to get everyone on the same page, we spent this series looking at AI through a couple different lenses, simple lenses. Number one is the chef metaphor. So think of the AI model. Traditionally, it's a database in software product management. The AI model is not a database. Think of it as a chef that follows a recipe, which would be your prompt, and then it's using ingredients from the pantry, which would be the data. The other metaphor we were talking about was the self-driving car versus the train. So unlike traditional software, which is a train on a track that's always going to stop at the same station, AI is a self-driving car. It's probabilistic, so it's going to make guesses. It's going to make decisions in real time. And as the PM, you're going to have to manage the steering and the brakes and the fuel and all that stuff to make sure it does the job that it's supposed to do. So tonight, we're going to take that builder mindset and then turn it more into a candidate strategy. But knowledge without a paycheck is just a hobby. So we're going to treat your career search like a product launch. It's going to be moving through a 5-step funnel to take you from job seeker to candidate, a candidate that can't be ignored. All right. So that's the outline right there. Go ahead and get started. The first one is the infrastructure and building your professional dashboard. So your search starts with the infrastructure. Don't wait. This needs to happen ASAP, like tonight after you get off this call. First, I'm going to touch on a lot of these things. There's a whole comprehensive training within Product Gym, but I'll touch on some of the things that I want to highlight. Number one, get your skills at the top of your resume. Recruiters and the ATS algorithms, they scan from top to bottom. If they don't see relevant keywords in the first 5 seconds, they're going to move on to the next person. Next, go into your LinkedIn job settings, set your visibility to recruiters only. Don't do that whole open to work green banner thing. I know there's different camps that think one's better than the other. We're kind of in the camp where it's like it kind of looks like you're a little bit desperate. Let's let your skills and your portfolio, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, speak to the recruiters and the hiring managers. If you have a specific, so another thing is if you have, let's say, 8+ years of experience, you're likely qualified for both senior PM and director level roles. We'll talk a little bit about having separate resumes for each. Um, so for the director roles, for example, this is kind of from my own experience, you have a separate resume that shows that you had 8 years experience so you can prove your leadership and strategy. But if you're also open to like senior product manager roles, you might actually be considered overqualified on paper. For those who want to have a version that highlights your most relevant 6 years of experience. So don't think of it as you're lying. You are actually curating your experience to match what the specific hiring manager is looking for, depending on what type of role that is. Another thing is, okay, so once you fix the data, now we're going to fix the psychology. When a recruiter lands on your LinkedIn page, they make a judgment in basically under 3 seconds. First is your profile photo. Most people try to look a little too professional. The stiff suits, the tie, the fake backgrounds. Don't do all that. Just go to the people tab of a company like a Google or a Meta. Look through all the product managers there. You're going to notice a trend. They're going to have high quality front-facing photos, but they're all business casual. You don't want to look like you already work there. You want to look like a peer, not a job seeker. Second is a weird hack that actually works, and this is what I got from Rich. Change your backdrop photo. Stop using the default LinkedIn constellation or some skyline or something about, all the skills and 0 to 1 experience that you have. Switch it to something with water, has light, beautiful beach, a lake, bright natural scenery, all that kind of stuff. I don't know what the science is behind all that, but I've seen some folks have interview rates kind of shoot up just by changing this. I don't know if it's, the calming change from just looking at work stuff all day, making yourself feel, I guess, a little bit more approachable to hiring managers and recruiters. But it works. It
Yeah.
also makes your profile feel open. Sorry, Rich, you wanted to add something?
Not to cut you off, yeah. The last thing a product manager wants to look at right now is a Moscow framework diagram. That's not getting anybody hot. Yeah. You got
Yeah. Um, yeah, it kind of creates like a subconscious positive bias before they even read your first bullet point. But don't take it from me. Go ahead and try it on your side. Let me know how it works out for you. And then yeah, um, use these tips. Let me know how it is. We'll go ahead and go off to the next slide here. All right. So if there is one thing that gets a resume tossed immediately, it's also marketing fluff. For example, most PMs write stuff in their bullet points, such as increase website traffic by 20%. As a hiring manager or as a recruiter, I have no idea what that means. Did you go from 12 or 10 visits to 12 visits or 1 million to 1.2 million? And that's the difference between a junior PM job searcher versus a senior PM. Don't make the interviewer do extra math and try to figure out what you're trying to talk about. You need to provide the scale and the time frame. You need to show them the receipts. So use the from X to Y in Z months formula. All right, so we'll take a look at an example here. Everyone's seen this meme before. If you look on the right-hand side, a weak bullet is I increase monthly user activation by 50% using AI onboarding. But a stronger bullet is I increase monthly user activation from 5,000 to 5,750, 50% within 3 months by implementing an AI-driven personalization engine. So as a hiring manager, I don't have to figure out what 15% is. I can read it right there. I can also tell how long it took for you to accomplish that. So you can see how that's much more impactful than just saying an overall 50%. All right, so the numbers game. Landing a role is also a numbers game. There are some camps out there that swear by tailoring your resume to every single role. And I've been in some boot camps where they preach that and they give you tools on how to do it and all that kind of stuff. But what we've learned here is by the time you spend 30 minutes tailoring a resume, 500 people have already applied to that job. So you need to be fast. Set your alerts, apply to those rules immediately to keep that funnel full. Stop pondering over a role and deciding, okay, am I going to be a good fit? Am I going to like this? Like at that point, a ton of people have applied. Just apply. Who cares? Right? And don't just swim in the crowded LinkedIn pool. Also use another site I recommend called hiring.cafe. There you can set up your own saved search filters. But yeah, we use this numbers game to really stay active. But we're going to save that energy for the direct outreach, and that's what we're going to cover next. So I know that was a lot of information all at once. So let me just go ahead and pause here and see if there's any questions from the audience.
Actually, let me go ahead and actually kind of chime in there. I've had so many people kind of just swear by where they said like, well, I heard you have to customize, and I'm like, well, the reality is you're most likely not doing it right now, for starters, because like number one, it's annoying, and number two, there is no positive affirmation for you to keep doing it. So the people that swear that they're customizing, I'm like, are you customizing it now? And they never, ever, ever say yes that they're customizing the resume because they're not seeing a positive result from customizing their resume. So, I would say number one is get out of the mindset of instead of assuming no, just assume actually yes. Do the opposite, actually, do the opposite of what you think you should be doing, right? Um, Most of the time when I take a look at like when people are doing their job search, it's just like they're drafting up LinkedIn messages and they're like, oh, this person's not going to go ahead and respond. Oh, I'm not a good fit for this role. Or like, this is not going to work. Or like following up with the company that we've actually had a lot of people get offers from following up with companies that rejected them and they loaded up like on another 8, 9 skills on their YouTube channel, and then they followed up with them afterwards. And the question I always get from people is like, does that actually work? I mean, what else do you have to do? You've already scraped the list, so if you're going back with some value, you're gonna actually have a better chance, right? But that also just goes to show you that 9 out of 10 of your competitors will not do that, and they refuse to do that. And because they refuse to do that, they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I've actually tested it myself. I went through a whole bunch of job applications where I was tailoring it to every single job. And honestly, this whole just mass applying plus the follow-up is always going to perform better than customizing for each role. Another thing too is, as you're going to be applying to all these jobs, you're going to be reading through a ton of different job descriptions. You're going to see some similar keywords being repeated over and over. And if you're going to constantly keep your resume updated and you know that you have those skills, go ahead and update your resume. That's a way of tailoring it, is updating your resume to more of what the jobs are looking for. I'm not saying lie on your resume, but if it makes sense and you have that skill set to add it on there, or if they're using a different keyword for that particular skill, update your resume. That way you always keep it up to date, keep with the numbers and applying, and that's, I guess, another way of technically tailoring your resume to what the hiring managers are looking for. Okay, so the reach out. So there's various different ways of reaching out. You can do the um, direct message or in-mail, but I know, there's only so many credits that you can use for that. Another way you can do it is once you find the hiring manager or the recruiter, go ahead and add or do a LinkedIn connection request, and you can actually add a note, and that allows you 300 characters to send a message. This is what I've personally done to craft my messages. I have this general message on the left-hand side, which is, hi, whatever their name is, just applied to the role at this company, highlights from my experience, and then I have 3 bullet points there. Would love to connect and learn more. And what I do here is on the right-hand side, I've curated at least 10 different accomplishments for my previous companies that I can kind of pick and choose and insert into this message. And what you do is you load that into ChatGPT or Gemini along with the job description and just have it select the top three achievements that match the best with that job. And then that becomes your personalized reach out. So, for example, on the bottom left, hi, Elena, just applied to the senior PM checkout experience role. Highlights from my experience, blah, 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 blah. Would love to connect more, connect and chat more. So that's what I've been doing. And I've gotten like a lot of good responses from that as well. So, yeah, go ahead and try that out. Go ahead and build out your list, get at least 10 on there. Make sure it's under 300 characters. And then for each role that you've applied, but you're actually really interested in, go ahead and use this and reach out to the recruiter, the hiring manager, whoever you can find on LinkedIn that is tied to that role. Okay, building in public. So why should the recruiter or the hiring manager believe that you can manage AI and do AI product management? Because they can see you do it. So this channel, this like Rich actually encouraged me to do this. Um, Create and start a YouTube channel called Product by Kel. And this is where I documented everything about just building in AI, right? It just started with a little quick intro of, hey, my name's Kel. This is what I'm trying to do with this channel. And then it helped me kind of flex a little bit of my content skills. But I was just building in public. And what better way to learn about AI than to just start building? Doesn't matter if you fail, fall flat on your face, whatever the case, it shows that you're making the effort. And I could say I learned so much faster doing it and failing and trying it again versus watching a bunch of tutorial videos. And that's kind of how this whole channel started. Um, and I've got a lot of good feedback on it. These are a lot of different projects that I've been able to add to my portfolio, whether it's building a RAG chatbot on your site, or even if it's just a quick 60-second video of you explaining an AI trade-off, you need this proof of competence. When a recruiter clicks on your LinkedIn, they shouldn't just see a job seeker, they should see a builder. And this content is that social proof that makes your reach out from the previous slide 10 times more effective. The other tip is that you can have ChatGPT or Gemini take that video and then convert it into an infographic through Notebook LM, a carousel, an article on Substack, a newsletter on LinkedIn. So now you can take one piece of content and turn it into 4 or 5 different pieces of content that you can kind of spread out and really put the proof in the pudding, if you will, about your portfolio and what you've been building. Okay, so the DIGS framework. Um, I know most of you have probably been coached to use the STAR method, which is standard, right? STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. It's the best way to answer interview questions. Um, but my feeling was that Star was more for like a junior kind of your interview. It kind of makes you sound like you were following orders, right? Because you're starting with situation. Situation is, oh yeah, so I was working on this project and I was given XYZ. Like it kind of starts off kind of boring. So this is where I discovered the DIGS framework. Um, when you're interviewing for a senior or a director role, the interviewer isn't looking for a reporter. They're looking for a leader. And that's why I use Diggs. I came across this through Lewis Lynn's website. And the reason I have, this screenshot of Squid Game on the right-hand side is it gets you through all the feels, right? So the first is dramatize. So in Star, the situation is often very boring, like I mentioned. In Diggs, we're going to raise the stakes. We show the interviewer the fire we had to put out. We show them the $1 million that was on the line. So that's dramatize. Next one is indicate. This is the part that Star misses. You need to indicate the alternatives. A senior PM doesn't just do things, they evaluate trade-offs. Why did you choose surgery over a band-aid? The next one is go through. Instead of just a list of actions, you walk them through your logic. You show them, okay, this is the root cause analysis that I did, and this is how you navigated this technical debt. And then last one is summarize. All these things, package it up together. Don't just give the result, give the impact, and what's that lesson that you learned. Star, it's more of a list of chores. Digs is a masterclass in strategy and storytelling. So when you use Digs, you aren't just answering a question, you are proving that you're the most capable person in the room to handle the next crisis. And I'll give you an example here. This is actually a real failure that I experienced. Just a note of caution, what you see on the slide, it's a very heavily trimmed down version just for this training. In a real interview, you would spend much more time on the details and you would have that in your back pocket in case there's follow-up questions. But just want to share this to give you a skeleton of how to structure the story. All right, so just to summarize, okay, dramatize. We've launched a one-click TikTok integration for a major brand campaign that involved hundreds of creators. And within hours, the system collapsed. Dead links, creators couldn't post, attribution data vanished, and millions of potential brand ROI were on the line. We were also fielding a bunch of urgent escalations from the CEO and key partners while support tickets tripled in a single afternoon. The options were we can either do manual data matching or manual data patching, or we can have customer success reach out to those creators, or we can do a full redesign, but that would require a pre-campaign authentication. But I ended up choosing the redesign because we want to ensure long-term scalability. Here's the steps I went through, conducted a root case analysis on what caused the failed authentication. I redesigned the UX flow to mandate TikTok authentication before the campaign. And also, I implemented engineering alerts to handle any future issues and make sure engineering was on top of it. And we were able to resolve within a 2-week sprint. We allowed 7 campaigns to go live. And the lesson I learned is high stakes API integrations, definitely over communicate, risk, and validate edge cases with real users before the 0 to 1 launch. It's a little bit wordy, and even though it was trimmed down, it's still a little bit wordy, but I wanted to at least send over that message of how you can make it a lot more entertaining and have the interviewer really honed in on what you're trying to tell versus just the standard star format. All right. So, last thing I want to touch on here, um, we're concluding the session, but this is the deployment phase. So this is going to be your go-to-market strategy for your career. We're going to move away from theory and focus on more of a high performance system. So just want to touch on what we learned tonight. Optimize the foundation tonight. Make sure your skills section is at the top of your resume. That's going to make sure that it's optimized for the ATS. Set your LinkedIn visibility to recruiters only. Take out that green banner and also use a approachable beach water backdrop to improve your profile's user experience. Don't rely on passive applications. Try to find the hiring managers and the recruiters. We have a whole course of Product Gym on how to achieve that. And then send direct but customize outreach. When you get to the interview, move behind the standard STAR framework, use the DIGS framework that I just spoke about, discuss the friction points, the technical trade-offs that you have validated, and all the hard metrics that prove your impact. Every time you do a mock interview, every time you do an interview, remember some of those questions that you kind of stumbled upon. Add them to a Word doc or a Google Doc, and then try to answer it in the DIGS format. And that way, you're always going to have a live set of questions and answers that you kind of go through. Um, so yeah, you have the technical intuition, you have the candidate strategy. I mean, the only step remaining is execution. Try to build daily. Try to connect with the folks in the community and set up some mock interviews. Um, yeah, find those jobs, apply, and continue to improve your resume as you move on. Um, Anything else you want to add on your side, Rich?
Oh man, let's get to the questions. I'm ready to get back to work. Uh, I mean, like, whoa, yeah, yeah. I mean, eh, this is generally speaking like y'all's time. Like, what questions can we go ahead and provide clarity on for you guys?
Yep.
Any
No questions. Everyone's getting a job tomorrow.
questions? Going once, going twice? Going once, going twice? Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, perfect. Happy Chinese New Year, everybody. I'm gonna call Kel really quick just to catch up.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.